Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to be continuing on with our C# tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at the basics of working with dates and times using the date, time, and time span structs. Now, primarily, we're going to take a look at how we can declare DateTime objects and use that, use its what's called a constructor. We'll talk about what a constructor is later. By passing arguments to it for a specific date and time. You can and we're also going to take a look at how we can get the current date, how we can get the current date time. Then we're also going to take a look at how we can get the current date on its own and the current time on its own. Okay, so let's get started. In Visual Studio, all you should need is using system if you are not using top-level statements, because this is inside of the system namespace. Okay, so to create a DateTime object and pass it values for the year, month, day, hour, minute, second, so on and so forth, we need to say capital D ATE, capital T IME. We're going to call this DT equals a new date time The date time class has various parameters here that we can use, or rather DateTime struct with its constructor. And we can say, for example, let's say I want to set the time to a date in the future where it's November 3rd, 2024. Okay? Well, we can do, the first argument is the year, so 2024, comma, okay, the next argument that we need is the month, so the month is going to be 11, and then the day is going to be 3. And you can see Visual Studio is giving us some signature help. So let's see here, what do we got? Okay. We can say, let's say 12, 0. Okay. Yep. Okay. So the next 3 arguments are the hour, minute, and second. So we can say 12 a.m. with no minute and no second. And there we go. So now we have a DateTime object where it's set to November 3rd, 2024 at 12 a.m. And we can show this in the console by saying console.writeLine and saying dt.toString, like that. go ahead and run the code, and we can now do a Control F5, and there's our date and time. So you can see how the toString method of the DateTime struct went in and converted our DateTime arguments into a string representation of the current date and time that it was passed. Pretty simple. However, what if we want to get the current date and time? Well, we can do this by saying DateTime. We'll say dt2 equals DateTime.now. Now is a static constant. That it's a static constant within the DateTime struct that essentially holds the value of the current date and time. It's not a method. It's just a constant property. So let's go ahead and now print this out to the console. And this time I'm going to take Visual Studio's suggestion because it's exactly what I want. So console.writeLine dt2.toString. Go ahead and save your code and do a Control F5 to run it without debugging. Now you can see the current date and time is printed right below the custom date and time that we put up above. And that's great. That really is great. But what if, for whatever reason, we just want the date or we just want the time? Well, to get the date, we do need the DateTime object. However, okay, so here, we can say DateTime dt3 equals DateTime.today, like that. And so today, that property of DateTime, it only stores the current date. It doesn't store the time, just the date. Okay? What if we want to get the current time? Well, for that, we need the timespan object. And this is in the same namespace as DateTime, so you don't need to import anything new. Just do capital T, I-M-E, capital S, P-A-N, TS1 equals timespan dot, and then we need time of okay, you can stop that, Visual Studio. Ticks per day, we don't want that. Dot. And we want, okay. So I guess let's take a look. I have this written down. Okay. So we need, instead of timespan dot whatever, we need timespan TS1 equals DateTime dot now dot time of day, like that. And so now we can then output this to the console with console.writeLine dt3.toString and console.writeLine ts1.toString, like that. Save it, Control F5. And there we go. You can see that we have our custom date and time, then we have our current date and time, then we have our current date, and then we have our current time. Pretty simple stuff. And if you're wondering, when we took a look at my Notepad application with some stuff written in there, I am also working on written versions of these tutorials. They're not going to be the same content as the videos, but the concepts are going to be exactly the same. Okay? But yeah, I am working on written versions of these, and they will be up. I don't want to say an exact date for the simple fact of I don't know when they're going to be up. Whenever I feel they're ready, I suppose. But the videos will be up, relatively soon. Well before the written stuff. So you don't need to worry about that. So that pretty much does it for the basics of dealing with dates and times. Getting the current date, getting the current time, all that stuff. So thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.